Good evening. Welcome to more of me streaming Haskell. Today is my final episode on this little diversion into megaparsec. I'm trying to parse some naturalish language not dates, but durations. And I'm just going to tidy up today. I want to add some exceptional cases or some slightly odd cases like half a day or a day and a half or 1.5 hours or something like that. Yeah, and then I think, irrespective of how far I get tonight, I'm just going to stop on the megaparsec, and then next week I'll go back to working on Servant. I guess the plan is to take some of the duration parsing stuff and put it into the application I was working on, so that when you book a particular environment, you can book it with a naturalish duration. I think that's the plan. Okay, but today is all about just finishing up some parsing, so let's go back to where we were last week. We have this. We have some test cases written that work basically, but we're parsing simple things like 1 day or 5 days or whatever, and same for minutes and hours, and then we're also parsing combinations of things, so 2 hours and 45 minutes, or ridiculous things like a day and 10 hours and 7 minutes, which is not something that somebody would type in, but it's just showing that we can sort of keep combining stuff. And then we did this normalization stuff as well. So if you say 2 days and 47 hours and 93 minutes, it comes out at 4 days and 33 minutes. So we just kind of turn this into, well, we take out the hours from this basically. Just leave the stuff less than an hour, and then we take out stuff that's less than a day, and so on. And that's all cool. For today, I think I'm just going to write some test cases. And then I'll just work through them so we can get them working. So we got test. I think I'm mostly going to care about half days or half things. I'll call it half things. So test half things. Oops. Test half things is hspec. Do, and it will say describe. So it I guess it parses half a unit. For example, I should have help for that. So it parses. I'm not going to do half a minute because that seems ridiculous. But I will do half an hour. So we say something like parse duration half an hour should be, and it's a duration. I've typoed before, so I'll go back and fix it in a second. It's a duration where days equal 0, hours equal 0, and minutes equals 30. So plan duration. Okay. Not should be, but in this case it should parse. So half an hour, and then maybe something like half a day as well. Got that. So it parses half a day. Just center that for a second. So half a day should be duration. The day should be 0. Hours should be 12, and minutes should be 0. Anything else for that? I think that's good for half. Not half and day. Half a day. Okay, and then describe it. Describe parsing half as a prefix. A, not and. Yeah, you're correct. The chat, so I guess it's about half a minute behind. So you can have half an hour of screaming at the screen before I read your comment and then go and fix it. Parsing half as a postfix. So here we can say it parses an hour and a half. It's going to be quite interesting. I don't really know how to do this one. But I guess that's the point of writing it. We'll find out as we go. So parse duration, an hour and a half. Should parse, then duration, and then days is 0, hours equals 1, and minutes equals 30. And then it parses, Okay, there's going to be some extra cases here. So we can do like a day and a half. That seems like a reasonable thing to say. Such a silly idea in general, because this is always going to be sort of ineffectual, or there's always going to be cases where people say stuff which is a perfectly valid thing to say and we won't parse it properly. But it's still an interesting way, I guess, of playing with the parser. Days equals 1, hours equals 12, and minutes is 0. And then, so another thing to describe, parsing, not really in fix, but I'm going to describe it as that. And this is going to be things like 2.5 hours. That one's going to completely around. Yes, it's going to be tricky. Day and a half. I'm probably going to end up just matching that literally, to be honest, as a special case, and make sure it comes before the general backtracking and trying and as a compound. This one I think it's even more difficult, so it parses. So we're going to stick this in the middle. So it's going to be 2 and... Oh, it's not. Oh, goodness. 2.5 hours. That's going to be so hard to do. And we'll do 2.5 days as well. And it should be 2 days and 12 hours and minutes is 0. It might be quite nice if we did some numbers as well, the names of numbers. So test number names. So test number names is hspec oops, and then it parses 1 hour. So parse duration 1 hour. Oops, parse, and it's a duration of days equals 0, hours equals 1, minutes equals 0. I'm not going to write all of these out, but I'll do a couple. In fact, I can just do it. I can do all those cases here. So parses named numbers. At this point we know it parses days and stuff as well, so we can just do, oops, not do that. that one. So parses 2 R's. And choose like this. I'll do one more randomly, so we'll do like 5 days. Okay, and then the reason I want to do that is because I really want to write this as the number 2. Well, let's do this as 4 just to do something of a difference. Get a bit more coverage. So 4.5 days. You know, actually, let me pull this out for a second into its own test, because test parse everything. I'm going to stress it a bit. Oops. So test parse everything. Okay. So test parse everything. So it parses a complex string what we're going to do here, we're going to say parse duration of, let's say something like 4.5 days. It's still a typo in an hour and a half. This is a day and a half, an hour, and thank you. Is that got everything? So 4.5 days and 30 minutes. Should parse duration of days is 4, hours is 12, and minutes. I'm going to change it from 30 to 23. Just because I like a bit of variety. Okay, so if I get this one working, it's going to be great. I don't know if we'll finish everything. I'll do the easy one first. I'm going to test number names, because it's really just a list. I'll run the test now. Hopefully no more typos. Test number name should fail because we're not parsing like 1 properly. Yeah, 1 R. I was expecting these things or a digit. Okay. So we go back to implementation. We have numbered duration parser or single unit duration parser. Single unit is a or an or a minute, but numbered has got int parser. What I'm thinking of doing is something like named number parser. I'm better at that. So named number parser. It's going to be a parser and it's going to return an int. Because I'm guessing that's what the int parser returns. So named number parser, it should be a long choice, I think. Is choice. That's how I was indenting it. So do you want to parse 0? think we do. Might as well. So one is a string 1. 2 comes from the string 2. 3 comes from the string 3. Before I finish them, actually, I'm just going to rerun tests to see if everything is basically working. Hopefully we're just missing things like the number 4. But we'll see if it basically works. Yeah, it's cool. So it got further and it's finished at 5 because I haven't written 5 yet. That's cool. So 4 comes from the string 4. 5 is there. Comes from the string 5. 6 comes from the string. I bet this is really exciting to watch. Oops. 7 comes from the string 7. It's a good typing practice for different layers, because all this stuff is on different layers. 8. My brain switched off there. And then 9 comes from the string 9. I don't know how far we go with this, like do 10. I'm going to stop there. We could in theory come back and look at how we do things like, I guess when you get to 20 things get a bit repetitive because you can go 21 and then you just join those two things together. You can parse them independently, but you need to go through everything up to 20, I think. Certainly through all the teens. But let's just stop at 10 because I don't have a test for anything bigger than that yet. So I'll run that, and number parsing the named number parsing should work now. Cool. Okay, back to the spec. So let's take it up a notch and we'll test. What was it? I can't remember what we called it. It scrolled off. Test half thing. That's a great name. Okay, I'll run that, make sure the tests fail in the way they expect, which is it doesn't parse any of them. Okay, so half an hour doesn't work. Half a day doesn't work. It's really interesting that it does half a day. I wonder why it stops at that point. An hour and a half. I think it's wasted space. That's really weird. Why does 4 days have 0 in that last test? I don't know what you're talking about. It doesn't. Right, back to this, right, yep, unexpected space, so we have something and a half. And then 2.5 days, unexpected and a. Yep. Okay, these are going to be really tricky to write. Let's go back to the top and go back to the library. Okay, so first one, half an hour. So you could probably do this in units. So you've got a single unit duration parser. And we could do half unit duration parser. And then we can say half unit duration parser is what we're going to do. I don't think we're actually going to return the unit here. I think we're going to say, I can probably just kill the do for a second and just do it as a choice. I think we'll find out, but I think I can put an expression into the choice. So rather than just saying like, you know, the value 1 or whatever, I think I can say to duration, and then unit minutes, and then 30, and that comes from string half an hour. And then to duration, unit hours, 12, string half day. Okay. So it can be that, or it can be half unit duration parser. Give that a go, see how many of them we've fixed. I think there should be 2 in there that should be working now, but we'll see. Four failures, yeah, so I think we made some progress. So we got an hour and a half, a day and a half, and then 2.5 days and 2.5 hours, 2.5 days. Okay. So an hour and a half. The thing I'm thinking here is it's going to be a little bit tricky because if we can match and a half on its own, we don't necessarily know what the previous unit was. So we can't just say, oh, it's half an hour, so it's going to be 30 minutes, or it's half a day, it's going to be 12 hours, because we don't know which of those 2 cases it is, because we don't know what the previous match is going to have been. I can brute force it, so we can say something like, half unit postfix parser is a parser duration. I might just rename this to prefix half unit. Oops. Okay, that wasn't very helpful. Sometimes the undo undoes more than I expect. Prefix duration parser. Okay. Half unit postfix. So half unit postfix parser. Oh, I've got duration there as well. It is a little bit more complex. So we have, it's going to be a unit or what's it going to be? It's going to be a day and a half, 2 days and a half. 2 days and a half doesn't really sound right, but no, okay, it's actually really simple, isn't it? It's just going to be a day and a half or an hour and a half. Everything else is going to be like 2.5 days. Okay, so this is another choice. So, ooh. That's okay, we can, duration normalizes, doesn't it? It doesn't normalize. Where do we normalize? What's that actually used? Oh, she's for joining durations. Okay. In that case, okay, so what we're doing here, so the string we're going to match is literally an hour and a half, if we do that without typoing. So it's going to be duration unit hour 1 joined with 2 duration unit minute 30. I got wrong. Unit hours and unit minutes. So that should be an hour and a half. That's first case, and then second case is 2 duration unit days. Oops, days 1 joined with 2 duration unit hours 12. That comes from the string a day and a half. Okay, so it's not very elegant, but it still matches them. So I'm just going to join these together. So half unit duration parser is a duration parser, a parser duration. Half unit duration parser. Is a half unit prefix or a half unit postfix. Then here we can just change this to be half unit parser, or half unit duration parser. Okay, should be done to 2 filling tests now, but we'll see. Nope, didn't work. So I might need to change the ordering a bit. So an hour and a half. Did I just do the same thing twice? No, an hour and a half should be matched, but it's not because compound is coming first. Okay. Oops. L, not J. So we are going to try the half unit duration parser first. Probably going to be quite inefficient, but again, we don't really care about that. We don't have a lot of input. It doesn't need to be quick. So we'll try doing the special cases with and first, and then we'll try doing the normal compound cases. That doesn't work, then we'll do the simple cases. Let's see if that makes any progress. No, it's broken everything. Good. So we no longer parse minutes. Okay. So what's happened here? I'm a bit confused with that actually. So we tried to do the half unit duration parser, and that does half an hour or an hour and a half. And if that doesn't match, then it should try the compound parser. which for 1 minute shouldn't kick in at all because there's no and. And then you should try the simple duration parser. But 10 minutes does not work, expecting space. So it's like it's got to the compound and then hasn't moved. And that hasn't worked because there's no and. So why is it not doing this one? Just to go back for a second. So if I run that, just make sure I didn't accidentally break something else along the way. This should start failing the half unit tests. Yeah, okay. So all of those fail, which is expected. Right. If I put them at the end, I think it'll work for the prefix, but not the postfix cases. So half unit duration parser. Okay, so it matches the postfix ones, I guess. Sorry, the prefix ones. Postfix ones are not working, and that's because that's because it tries to match this first, I think. The simple duration first, which would match an R, but not the word and. So swapping these around help. But it's going to cause some trouble, I think. Does that break 1 minute or 10 minutes again? Okay, that's cool. More stuff passes now. So we just don't have the infix. So something in the half hours. I think this is going to be a difficult one to do. But let's see. At some point I should work out why moving it works as well, because I'm not sure I understand that. Okay, so this is a parser of durations again. Infix, duration parser. So what we're trying to get is 2 and a half hours, or perhaps also, 2 and a half hours, but hours is not necessarily that. It could be any unit. Could be any unit. It can be like, how much should we do? 2.5 minutes. Okay. So first of all, we're going to get a digit or a an int parser that we had, or a, what do you call it? A minute parser. No, it's a named. Mine's completely blank now. name number parser. Okay, so that's the first thing we're going to get. So it's a 2. And then we're going to have, we'll have the string and a half. And then we're going to match the unit is a choice. I'm just going to restrict the choice to be either, oops, what's choice going to be? So it's going to be unit minutes which comes from unit minutes. We're not doing that one, we're doing unit hours. That's going to come from the word hours, or unit days. It's going to come from the string days. Okay, so now we have all the bits we need, I think. So now we can say case unit of, and now we say unit hours. And that's going to give us to duration pure to duration d unit hours joined with to duration 30 minutes. Okay, and then unit days is pure to duration d unit days. A lot of noise from the warnings here. And to duration 12 unit hours. This needs to be unit minutes. Okay, so all the things that are wrong here. Okay, so this inline choice is not working very well. What's the actual type error? So expected forward string data functor identity unit. And we got that. We used choice up here. It was okay. And up here we've used it. I mean, let me just, I'll do the unit parser at this point, to see if that works. Okay, and then unit minutes, just to shut the warnings up, I'll just put it on define for now. Okay, and then these are just the wrong order, I guess. Like that. Okay, so that should match to, make some spaces, and a half. In some kind of unit. And if you say 2.5 minutes, it'll just, at the minute, it will break. Okay, is that basically functional? So half unit next duration parser. Let's see which tests are passing now. Three failures is not the expected number of failures. Okay, we've broken all of this stuff. We're not even getting past a minute parsing. And I'm guessing that's because we're matching something and a half. So I think we need to let it backtrack. Yeah, because we're doing it here. So I get the feeling here we need to say try these things. Because if this fails, it shouldn't then fail. It shouldn't fail the whole matching. It should just give up on trying to do something and a half. Goodness, that's not unexpectedly good. Cool. So what happens then? Go back to our test, our spec for a second. And we test parse everything. It does not work. 4.5 days. Ah, okay. So yeah, so we haven't introduced the idea of this into the compound parser. Because the compound parser is only accepting a simple duration. Let me go back to the parser. So this is a simple duration parser. And I guess here we want to say try simple duration parser or half unit duration parser. I swapped the order of simple and half unit there. I'm not sure what will happen. Because in the overall parser, oh, it did work. Cool. That's interesting then, because I might swap these around, because I think simple duration parser is more likely to come up than the half unit. So we'll try that first, in the expectation that we're going to hit the first branch first, be slightly more efficient, and if it doesn't work, then we'll try a more complex thing. Right, one more test case. Let's make this even harder. First duration, 2 days and 8 and a half hours and 7 minutes. It's ridiculous time. Parse. Do that. The duration should be days equals 2. Hours equals 8 and minutes equals 37. So that should break, I think, because the second duration part of the compound term doesn't look for and a half. Bit confused now because I thought I just wrote another test case and it's broken two things. Oh, the last thing I did actually, I swapped these around. I didn't rerun the tests, I just assumed it was fine. Simple just part. Try it again. Wow. Okay. So we can parse this string now. 2 days and 8.5 hours and 7 minutes. Okay. Anything else? And we could, just to make it more fun, we could say test. How long have we got? 10 minutes or so. Test parse comma. So test parse comma is h-spec. For comma, yeah, our minds have gone to the same place. So it, what are we looking for here? I guess it just works like a conjunction. So we could say something like parse duration of 1 day, 4 hours. So I'll not do the whole compound thing, I'm just going to do it step by step. Should be, no, should parse, sorry. Duration, where days equals 1 and hours equals 4 and minutes is 0. I'll just do another case so we can do like uh, 2 hours, 37 minutes. Stop doing 37, it's boring. I'll do 13 minutes. So days is 0, hours is 2, minutes is 13. I'm going to get this working. I'll go back and add the comma into the complex string. Okay, so we're not parsing commas, so 1 day, 4 hours does not work, unsurprisingly. Okay. So, this should be good because it doesn't clash with anything, I guess. So, comma duration parser. Is, so it's going to be that I think No, actually, let's just make it simple. So we'll grab this one. So it's, do we want like half a day, come with 4 hours? Let's not even do that. Let's just do simple duration parser. Oops. Simple duration parser. And then some spaces. It's basically going to be like this, isn't it? It's the same principle. A comma. And then what we're going to have after that. Then I think we're going to have that. And then that. So you can say, let me give an example up again. So we can say like 2 hours, that will get caught by simple duration parser. Some. Does that require at least one? I think it does. So we can say many instead. We probably want at least one space after comma. So 2 hours, 10 minutes. Both the space and the and. Yeah, I think you're right. We don't want any space. Okay, so this is going to be a simple thing, then no spaces and a comma, and then maybe some space afterwards. 2 hours, 10 minutes. That'll 2 hours will match the simple duration parser, and 10 minutes will match the simple duration parser here. And then we can say like 2 days, 4 hours and 10 minutes. And that would match the compound duration parser, I think. Okay, so where does this go? It's going to be, I think I can put it all the way at the beginning. It's getting nasty though, so we can try comma duration parser. Or the existing stuff. I think it's okay putting the start because it's not going to clash with the and, so it shouldn't get confused by that. It's in a try anyway, so it should back out a bit if it can't match it. Okay, it does parse commas. Oops. So if we go back to this test, this is what we suggested, right? So we do 2 days, 8.5 hours, and 7 minutes. We're not going to support the Oxford comma. So there's none of that. I don't think. No, let's just stick with that. Okay. I think this should work. Let's find out. Cool. Okay. I think that's right. This has gotten really messy now. I think I could tidy it up by just sort of pulling stuff into more named parsers so I don't have this sort of repeated try all the time. I'm curious about this because we only do half unit and then we do simple. How does that work? 4.5 days. Well, because that's the simple. Okay, so it's probably a case it doesn't work. So if we say something like 3 days and 2.5 hours and 23 minutes, I think this one will break because we're missing. So it's 2.5 hours and 23 minutes. Is really weird, but that'll be 53 minutes. On the second half of the compound, I think it doesn't match the sort of half unit thing. I just messed up. Apparently it does work. Okay. How does that work? So I think this comes into the complex parser case, because it's not a comma duration. So 3 days should match here. And then we say and then it's going to be a compound. Oh, of course, compound works because compound can start with 2.5 hours and 23 minutes. Right. For the case that maybe doesn't work, is a stupid thing to say anyway. We wouldn't say 3 days and 2.5 hours. Who would say that? I think the parser will rightly reject this because it's a stupid thing to say. Yeah. So I can make it work by nesting another try here. So we can do half unit duration parser, or that. I think that's enough to fix it. Yeah. However, I think this is not a well-formed description. Like, I think if you're trying to specify duration and you say it's 3 days and 2.5 hours, then the computer would be right to say, I don't understand what you mean. It's not cool. So I think I'm going to undo that. Oops. Yeah, I think this is stupid as well, but it still works. Just check that it's still compiled. Cool, everything's passing. Okay, I might stop there. I think it's a good place to stop. We're 1 hour in. Yeah, I can now parse slightly interesting strings, I think. So yeah, next week I'll try and pick this up. I'll move it into, I don't know what it picks up exactly, but I'll do something similar inside the servant application I was working on, and then I can try and get it so that when you create a booking, you can give it duration, and the duration could be something a little bit strange like this, like 2.5 days or a week. We haven't done weeks here, so I think I'll look at weeks and maybe months as well when we move it into servant. But cool. All right, thanks for watching along. Thank you for fixing all my typos as I went along and also solving some of the mistakes. But cool, I shall hopefully see you next week. Goodbye.